Sony reveals the release date of the PlayStation 6. Aren't we getting a little too cocky here? I've noticed a trend here. Every time they have a mountains of success under the belt, they get cocky. It's happened with the PS2 success going into the PS3, and it's happening now. What are you doing in my house, Ed?
I can't sleep, Eddie. I keep thinking, how can my feet smell if they don't have a nose?
Great, now I can't sleep.
How come you can't sleep, Eddie?
I told you to go to sleep, but now you got me thinking. How can you sleep if you don't have a brain, monobrow?
I don't get it, Eddie.
Shut up and go to sleep.
Yes, I'll just bring it all down.
Let's face it, articles and journalists and journalists these days don't even actually tell you the truth. No facts, nothing but lies incarnate. So take it with a huge 90% grain of salt. But if it is actually true, and if it's a rare occasion, that's absolutely fucking pitiful. For a company like Sony to get a swelled head over 2 years after its console's release. The wonderful world of Sony appears to be planning the release of its next generation console, the ps6, as the document from the company says that it will happen around current year plus 6 or 5 or 6. Therefore, it seems to be correct to say that the ps5 still has 5 years before being replaced. See, this is Sony's problem. They get ahead of themselves after one little generation of success. I'm not gonna sit here and argue with people. This is just my opinion, but the ps5 has been out for what, 2 years now? And already they're talking about designing the ps6. Like, if that doesn't scream cockiness, I don't know what does. They're getting way too ahead of themselves. All that I've seen them do is do the triple R method. Remakes, reimagining, and remasters. There isn't a game out there yet that I can't play on my PS4. And for the people that are defensive about this statement, they'll probably tell you, oh, well, there's Returnal, or there's Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. One, I don't really care about those games. I've played the first Ratchet & Clank, didn't think it was for me. And if you do, that's fine. More power to you. I just don't care about those games. Oh, and don't get me started on the Spider-Man game and the Wolverine game. I've personal level, for me, I have kind of had quite enough of Marvel and DC. The movies, the comics, all of them are going in a direction where they're just alienating all of the fan bases. The game seems somehow intact, but how long before that too is effective? I don't think I'll be playing that title anytime soon because, one, it's called real life. I have rent to pay, bills to pay, and I got food to put on the table that's expensive and it takes half my paycheck every month. So, don't think I'll be buying a PS5 or let alone any games for that console anytime soon until they lower the prices for the majority of people that can't afford to pay their bills. Seattle, you forgot a war and Forbidden West. Yeah, I can play those games on the PS4. There's no need to buy a new generation console and play those games. Games aside, what Sony needs to do now is focus on this generation, not next, this, because there's a lot to be fixed here. And the way you start is addressing the big elephant in the room. Maybe the best course of action for you is to not focus on next gen, but put your main focus on the console right in front of you. My philosophy has always been focus on what's in front of you Focus on the here and now, rather than 20 years down the road, or 10 years down the road, or 6 years down the road. You need to focus on what's in front of you first before you can ever think about going forward with that kind of stuff. Call me crazy, but I'm just old-fashioned that way. I don't think people understand how urgent this topic is, because imagine EA coming out with another Madden game and they goofed up the game so they have to fix it after release. That's the whole thing with PlayStation. If they focus solely on ps6 rather than what's in front of them, they lose sight of that, and they have the same problem as EA does. The fact that Sony cares that little of the PS5 tells you all you need to know for first-time buyers. Honest to God, if they're focusing on next gen rather than putting their main focus on what's in front of them, they're in trouble going forward. That also tells me as a consumer, they're not doing well. This console may not be worth it. None of it will be. If you want people to believe that this console is good and you're trying to sell it and bring it on home, why don't you focus on it? Ugh, honestly, the stupidity that oozes from that company. They have serious fucking gaps to fill, I'll tell you that right now. Anyway, I think they'll leave that discussion here for the time being. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like, I feel like this topic isn't talked about enough. It's not brought to people's attention enough, and that's what I've observed. That's why I'm talking about it now. Feel free to use my discount code CHOSE10 to save 10% off your order of W Energy drinks. Drinks, shakers, merchandise, everything that you want and more. They just released a new anime shaker, and I'm looking forward to purchasing that as soon as I possibly can. It's only a limited time only offer, so take advantage of it while you can.